So, Dr. Cialdini, why do you think it is important for marketers to study behavioral approaches, which is something perhaps they don't do as much as they might do at the moment?
Well, I think marketers, advertising executives, and so on will study things that are related to behavior. They will study attitudes, they'll study beliefs, they'll study perceptions, they'll study memories of brands and relationships to brands. But it seems to me those are all under investigation in the service of predicting behavior. Why don't we cut to the chase? Why should we examine those things that are bridges or links of an imperfect sort to behavior when we can study behavior itself? So my research has focused on getting to action and the implications of that action for purchase decisions.
That's great. What particular areas do you think merit investigation as far as marketers are concerned?
Well, you know, I'm frequently asked, because I have a set of principles that I think are universal, that move people because of some internal, inborn tendencies to lend assent. And people will ask me, which is the most powerful? And I guess the best way to answer that is in terms of a conversation I had with one of my colleagues. He's a marketing professor at the University of Florida, who said he spent the last 16 years trying to identify the single most effective, persuasive appeal. And I saw him at a conference recently. He stopped me, he said, "Bob, I found it. I found it. It is not to have a single persuasive appeal. That's a fool's game. The important thing is to size up every situation in terms of which of these powerful tendencies is most active there. And then all you have to do is point to it. You don't have to counterfeit it, certainly. You don't have to fabricate it. You uncover it for people. Allow them to register its natural existence there. And then its power flows to you through that inborn and installed principle that already exists.
So that's very interesting. So these things exist latently, perhaps. So in the things you talked about this morning about energy use, the notion that kind of other people are doing things or not doing things exists latently. It's a question of surfacing that as the most important thing.
Precisely right. We sort of use the detective's metaphor. Your job as an agent of influence is not so much to create this force for change. It's much more efficient to identify the force that already resides in the situation, align yourself with it, and then it's the wind in your sails.
That's really interesting. Now, of the rules of influence that you talk about in your books, which would you say is, and this may be, you can scrub this question if it doesn't work, but which do you think is the most instinctually held rather than culturally learned?
I would say it's a pair of them. One is the desire to have scarce resources, those things that are rare, that are scarce, that are dwindling in availability. There's an almost fundamental attraction to those. So to the extent that we can honestly inform people of the unique or distinguishing features of what we have to offer, that should be at the outset. They listen differently now to our description of those to the extent that they register that they're not widely available. The second is the principle of social proof, the idea that one fundamental way we can decide what to do when we are uncertain is to look around us at what those like us are doing. So I saw an article in a journal from China that showed that if a restaurant manager puts on the menu of the restaurant, these are our most popular items, they immediately become 17 to 20% more popular. You don't have to spend any money on it. You don't have to. You don't have to convince people with some marketing you just point to something that's inherently there in the situation that usually drives people, and that's enough to produce a 17 to 20% uptick immediately.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Well, thank you for that. That's fun.